Hello everybody, and welcome back to one of the videos and tutorials from SandraStitches. Today we are going to be learning how to work a classic, simple, basic granny square. So you can start the granny square with a magic circle or with a chain 4. I will start with a chain 4. If you want to use a magic circle, it's the same. I'm using for the purpose of this tutorial my Stylecraft special chunky yarn in this gorgeous color and my 5.5 millimeter hook. So let's start. We start with a slip knot and we chain 4 to form a circle. We chain 4 and then we slip stitch into the first chain, so we have our circle. Now we start by chaining 3. This chain 3 is our first double crochet. We are going to be working 2 more double crochet. I assume you know how to make a double crochet. So 2 more double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So we have now 3 double crochet. The granny stitch and granny square is always worked with clusters of 3 double crochet. Now we chain 2. This is going to be our first, let me get some yarn, our first corner. So we have our first cluster of 3 double crochet, chain 2, this is our first corner, and we work another cluster of 3 double crochet inside the circle. 2, 3. All right, so we have 2 clusters of 3 double crochet, we chain 2 and we work another cluster of 3 double crochet. We need 4 because we are doing a square, so we need 4 corners. So this is our third cluster. We are going to chain 2 and make our last 3 double crochet cluster inside the circle. 1, 2, 3. And now we are going to chain 2. This is our last corner. So we have 1 corner, 2nd corner, 3rd corner, and now we need the 4th corner. So we chain 2 and we slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the beginning. 3 chain, slip stitch. So now we have our square, right, with 4 corners. Now we are going to be starting the 2nd row in our granny square. So what we do, we slip stitch to the first corner, to the first chain 2 space. Slip stitch 1, slip stitch to the next double crochet and slip stitch to the chain 2. We have to get to the chain 2 space. So we slip stitched 1, 2, 3. And we start our chain 3, which is going to be our first double crochet, and we make our first cluster of 3 double crochet in the corner. And this is how we are going to be working every round. We start with slip stitching to the first chain space and starting the new round. So we have in the first corner our first 3 double crochet cluster. We chain 2 because this is going to be our corner, and in the corners we always have chain 2, and we may work another cluster of 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Let me get some yarn. Now we are going to start the rounds and increasing the rounds, right? So this is our corner. Now between corners we chain 1. Chain 1 and make another corner, which is 2 clusters of 3 double crochet and chain 2 in between them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, chain 2, this is a corner, and another cluster of 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so as you can see, we are having 2 corners. Chain 1 between corners and our third corner. 2 clusters of 3 double crochet and chain 2 in between. 3, chain 2, and another cluster. I need some more yarn. Okay. So I have my first 3 double crochet cluster, chain 2, my second. I'm always having 2 clusters of 3 double crochet in the corners and chain 2 space between them. So it defines the corner, right? Chain 1 and our last corner. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. And another cluster in the same chain 2 space. And then we will close the round. 1, 2, 3. Right? So we have a full square. We have to close it. We chain 1 and we slip stitch into the third chain here on top from the first chain 3. Slip stitch. So now we have a full square, right? Full square. For round number 3 and ongoing, however many rounds you want to work your granny square, again we start by slip stitching to the corner. So we are in the first stitch here, the chain 3 is our first stitch. We slip stitch the second, the third, and into the chain 2 space, and then we start chain 3, cluster of 3 double crochet because we are in a corner, right? Chain 2 and another cluster. This is a very, very easy way to work is classic granny square. There are many other ways that you can do it. Sometimes people work backwards, all kind of different directions, but I found that this one is very, very simple and very practical, and you never get lost, even if you have to change colors. So you can always start from the corner and you will be okay. So we made our first corner, we chain 1, and now we have the chain 1 space from the previous round between the 2 corners. And as we go bigger and bigger, we will have more chain 1 spaces between corners, but we will work the same thing. So we chain 1 and we work 1 cluster of 3 double crochet into the chain 1 space. So for instance, if you had another chain 1 space like you are going to have in the next round, you'll work chain 1 and another cluster until you reach the corner. So now we reach the corner. So I made the corner, 2 clusters of 3 double crochet, chain 2 in between, chain 1, and a cluster of 3 double crochet in the chain 1 space from the previous round. Chain 1, and I'm in the corner, so I make 3 double crochet, 3, chain 2, let me get some yarn. A lot of yarn is going on here. Chain 2, I'm in the corner, and another cluster of 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, this is my corner. Chain 1, and I have a chain 1 space here until I reach the next corner. So I work 1 cluster of 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. And again I reach a corner, so I work the same. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Let me get some more yarn. So I'm in the corner. I need 2 more double crochet here. 1, 2. Okay, so this is my 3rd corner. I have 1, 2, 3, chain 1, space, and I have this chain 1. I make 1 cluster of 3 double crochet, and chain 1. I reach my last corner. I make the 2 clusters and chain 2 space between them, chain 2 in the same corner, and I finish my round with chain 1. And don't forget we have this space here, the chain 1 space from the previous round, so we make a cluster. Here we work 3 double crochet, 1 cluster, and chain 1. Never forget the chain 1 after, because this is going to be our next space to make a cluster on the next round. Chain 1 and slip stitch to the on top of the chain. This is it. So you have the square, right? So you always work the same. You slip stitch to the chain 2 space in the square, in the next chain 2 space. You make a corner of 3 double crochet clusters and chain 2 in the middle. In every chain 1 you work 1 cluster of the 3 double crochet, and in every corner again you make a corner, and you go around, and it gets bigger and bigger. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you like the granny square. This is the basic granny square tutorial, and I hope you make beautiful things with it, and I will see you next time.